Hey YouTube, Brandon Ascari here with another episode of Ascari Digital's Content Creator Academy, where today we're going to be coming at you with some news. I know, first time ever. We haven't really talked about news and current events in filmmaking, but also maybe a little bit of the Brandon sweet sauce and how I actually feel about that news. So let's go to the intro, then we're going to dive in and take a look at what's going on in the world of filmmaking, if you couldn't already imagine. Intro. Welcome back, everybody. I am magically now duplicated the amount of eyes that I have. I have 4 now. Let's start taking a look at some news. So we're going to look at the LA Times. They're talking about virtual filmmaking takes center stage in reopening Hollywood. Interesting. So, when Good Trouble returns to screens, fans of the freeform TV drama will reconnect with the 2 young women, Callie and Mariana, trying to make it in Los Angeles. Instead of shooting scenes in downtown LA, an impossibility during the shutdown caused by COVID-19, filmmakers are digitally recreating the historic Palace Theater and other landmarks on a set in Valencia. By fusing the latest advances from the video game world using software that powers the hit game Fortnite, producers will shift much on-location shooting indoors to Santa Clarita Studios, projecting photoreal imagery of downtown skyline on LED video walls. We are preparing all the virtual assets so that day one they can be as if they were shooting exterior LA, but they will be on a set with limited people in Valencia, said Sam Nicholson, chief executive of Pasadena-based Stargate Studios, which has partnered with the creators to create the virtual set. Please don't mind me when I'm reading. I'm a little dyslexic, so sometimes my reading and words get jumbled up. So let's stop there for a second and talk about this real quick. I do have some experience with virtual sets, not much because we haven't done a full shoot with it yet, but I was there for the foundational testing at YouTube Studios for a pretty famous YouTube channel that I'm the head cinematographer for. So what I can say is that this technology is amazing. What they do, I'm not sure about what they're using for this, but the technology that I've experienced was using a gaming engine, the Unreal Engine, which is the virtual 3-dimensional lifelike sets that they create, and they infuse that into a camera that, while shooting, automatically keys out the green room and replaces it with this completely 3-dimensional background, which actually allows you the freedom to move the camera completely, and it's tracking and everything, and it casts shadows naturally, and you can put whatever assets you want in there. It's really some amazing technology. So what I can say is that this technology is rapidly advancing, especially in the film industry. So what does that mean as far as like actual film and television production goes? Personally, I don't think it's there yet. If you're doing like what they're doing, children-based videos, or you want to do like talk shows or podcasts and stuff like that, phenomenal. But to truly believe that you're in an environment that is real, it's not there. You could still see that it's a digital, virtual created world. If they're just saying that they want to do green screen, you can make green screen look pretty realistic because you have more control over the assets. But if it's all virtual made sets, then it's not going to look real. If it's actual photographs or photoshopped pictures or video of the actual town that they're using green screen to put it on, then it might work somewhat well. There's going to be limitations with it, as there always is when you're doing things not actually at the location. But for the most part, it seems okay. But if they're doing complete virtual sets, then personally, I just don't agree with it. In my opinion, I think it'll be obvious that that's what they're doing, and you would probably be better off just not doing that right now and doing an animation or something instead. But let's keep looking. As Hollywood faces mounting pressure to resume production and re-employ hundreds of thousands of cast and crew who've been out of work for months, filmmakers are turning to virtual producers like Nicholson as a route to reboot TV shows and features halted by the pandemic. Some predict the health crisis will accelerate the industry's use of virtual filming to mitigate risks and reduce costs of on-location shoots. It's the tip of the iceberg, Nicholson said. People have to utilize these tools to get back online. Once they've utilized them and realized it's faster, better, cheaper, you will see a lot more virtual production coming down the pipeline. Okay, so there's a problem there. The last paragraph says that as Hollywood faces pressure to resume production and re-employ hundreds of thousands of cast and crew who've been out of work for months, filmmakers are turning to virtual producers. Great. Yes, we all want to go back to work, obviously. And now they're saying that once you realize it's faster, better, cheaper, you're going to see a lot more virtual productions coming down the pipeline. What that says to me is for crew and for post-production, that it's great. But if you're talking about completely virtual sets, then you're losing most of that crew that you wanted to hire. Whereas you would have a whole G&E team, grip and electric, where you have the head gaffer, the key grip, you've got a bunch of assistants underneath them, you have all sorts of stuff, electricians, blah, blah, blah. It's probably gonna be a lot smaller than that. So a lot of those people won't come back. You'll probably have the cinematographer and a first AC, maybe a second AC, but a whole camera department, maybe not. So that's not good in that it's saying that basically, now that you realize it's cheaper to do this, it's cheaper to do some stuff in post-production. There's going to be an issue with this, and I apologize, Sushi's barking right now. One of the main issues that you're going to face is that maybe only half the people are going to be able to go back to work, or 25% of the people are going to be able to go back to work. So while it's good that they're getting back into production, we're going to realize that a lot of us are still going to be unemployed. And that's a big issue and a huge concern for tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people in our industry. So that part, not but carry onward. So Marco Farnoli, director and photography for Good Trouble, said virtual production will provide a safe alternative to cast and crew as they return to work. Once everybody agrees on the protocols that will allow us to get back to work, we just want to be able to maintain the creative freedom that we had before the shutdown as much as possible. Not have scenes with only 2 people in a kitchen talking. We want to be as unhindered and unencumbered as possible and still be safe. You're going to have a hard time pulling that off. I personally am not 100% sure how you're going to be in the same level of creative freedom if you know, people have to be 6 feet apart, so I guess there's no kissing in movies anymore, or fighting, or anything like that. I don't know what the protocols are, so I don't know. I just take everybody's temperature at the door. Have you had any symptoms? Are you feeling okay? Okay, you don't have it, so who cares? You could always just do that, just saying. We are bidding 6 jobs right now that are considering dropping set building and their location work and using virtual sets. So production designers, set decorators, anybody who works as a welder in film or set construction, you're not coming back to work. You're gonna be replaced by post-production people, so you know, if you're a set carpenter, you may want to look into doing virtual sets because that's really grim. I'm sorry. All right, that's enough for this article. Grim enough. So let's look at, oh, what's this? Hollywood is all but writing off 2020. What does that mean for the future of movies? Inside Hollywood's corridors of power, the industry shutdown due to COVID-19 has come to be known by various nicknames. The studio executives and talent agents responsible for keeping the business part of showbiz beating forever forward against the tide have referred to worldwide pandemic as nuclear winter, doomsday even. Interesting. We have to write off 2020. It's already the year that didn't happen, says one top agent at one of the town's powerhouse firms who, like everyone reached by Vulture for this story, requested anonymity due to sensitivities surrounding ongoing business endeavors. We're not going to make any money because there are no revenues with TV and movies not getting made. Anyone who says that everything is not totally is lying. Everything has changed in what we do. So there's plenty of revenue in TV. I don't know what idiot would say that there is no money to be made in TV. Have you ever heard of something called syndication? Do you not have a subscription to Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, Amazon, whatever? There is billions of dollars to be made when it comes to television and when it comes to streaming services. So that is just foolish and outdated thinking, in my opinion. Now, to consider this doomsday is also far-fetched. Now, in my opinion, I do believe in some things that Scorsese said. He believes that films are to be experienced in a movie theater. And while that is very true because they have a bigger screen, they have a different sound system, they have a totally different environment for feature films, personally, If I was releasing a feature film in 2020, I would postpone it to 2021. I saw some films this year like Capone and a couple other movies that were released through streaming or whatever, and I enjoyed the films, don't get me wrong, but I would have rather seen it have a theatrical run before going to streaming services and television. So for a lot of people who do believe in cinema being experienced in a movie theater, personally, I would just wait and postpone it to next year or later this year whenever, we could go back to movie theaters. We don't know yet. But for the ones that do, of course there's money to be made in streaming. They're gonna buy the film for $10 or $15 regardless, because that's what I had to do, or they're paying for a subscription service, or they're watching all the commercials that are paying hundreds of thousands to millions of dollars to air their commercial on live television. So, to say that there's no money in it is absolutely idiotic. It's a complete farce. Don't believe that crap. Moving on. For the agencies, March going into April now stands as arguably the bleakest span of weeks on record in terms of ruinous financials, lost jobs, docked income, and a more nebulous diminishment in the kind of work that keeps the movie release calendar full. The received wisdom: when the deal makers go dark, the soundstage lights in Tinseltown follow. With stay-at-home and anti-gathering measures expected by internal estimates to remain in place and around Hollywood until at least June 1st, well, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but it's past June 1st now, so still not looking good. A wide swath of present and former agents, entertainment lawyers, and talent managers contacted by Vulture have been pondering what this all means for the future of filmmaking and movie distribution. They envision outcomes that cohere into three distinct groups. The first and foremost, decidedly optimistic scenario sees the first half of 2020 as a temporary apocalypse. I mean, I wouldn't really call this an apocalypse, but if that's what you want to call it, whatever. Predicated on a rapid restoration of normalcy that few within the scientific community foresee. By this imagining, the 120,000 Hollywood craftspeople, technicians, and artisans estimated to have already lost their jobs due to the coronavirus would promptly regain steady employment once stay-at-home measures relent and insured projects were permitted to pick back up. I don't know. Personally, I think that the unemployment that came from everybody, being furloughed, losing their work and whatnot, is going to continue on after the stay-at-home measures lift. I think we can't estimate what that's going to be like. Small businesses, freelancers, and stuff like that could be suffering this for years to come, in my opinion, because nobody's ever seen anything like this before in anything in history, so it's hard to get a firm grasp on where it's going to go. Some of these Hollywood films, of course, they're still going to happen, but some of the independent films and the smaller scale productions, I think are going to be hurting for the foreseeable future, in my opinion. Eventually, when the world comes back around, people will want to see movies and television and things, and I'm connected to clients who do that, says an agent. I know people who are like, September or July, we'll be back to normal. We feel a bit more optimistic than the average person does. I do agree that for some, it's going to come right back, full swing, no questions asked, but it's going to be difficult to put a date on it because we don't know when any of these areas are fully going to reopen yet. We're going through the stages, as they come, and there's no hard date for every stage going forward. It's usually just the one that's coming, and then that, of course, could change depending on how the number of cases go up or down. So there's too many variables to say, and then especially in the independent side of things and your corporate commercial clients, stuff like that, a lot of corporate and commercial clients are for businesses. Businesses have been affected so dramatically from all that's going on that they may not have the resources to be able to continue doing this for a number of reasons. So we're going to lose a lot of work in that regard. Now, some YouTube celebrities or some Hollywood films, of course, they're backed with hundreds and hundreds of millions and billions of dollars, so there's no problem there. But a lot of the work that especially the people who would be watching this show, it's not as easy as it looks. The second potential outcome is more of a mixed bag. Several presumptive blockbusters now face mounting uncertainty as their principal photography gets kicked indefinitely down the calendar. I know how you feel. I was planning to do a feature film, had to cancel it. What am I going to do? There was a short-term rental ban, so I totally get it. Top Gun, Maverick, and F9 are destined to flood into an already crowded fall 2020 and spring 2021 release corridor, doomed to compete in ways unforeseen at the box office. Moreover, a sudden reopening of the entertainment industry in June feels farther fetched by the day. I completely agree with that. And when Hollywood does reopen, soon, the industry will experience inevitable scheduling conflict as actors, director, and location scouts scramble to make their delayed movies first. I mean, hey, if there's a bidding war, you could always call me. I'm free. They'll likely be hampered by other obstacles, yet to be determined protocols for preventing the spread of illnesses on crowded shoots, doubt as to whether insurance bonding will cover all cases of coronavirus-related production delays, and general budgeting disarray as studios juggle more releases than they plan. I completely agree with this 120%, where we don't know what the restrictions are going to be. I can tell you for the short film that I'm going to be working on in July, that's my own, I'm taking every precaution that I possibly can. I will have masks for cast and crew. I will have hand sanitizer on set. I'm going to recommend that we all take our temperature before we go in. If your temperature does show like 100, even though that's not really a fever, it's a slight one, we'll do the breath test. Can you hold your breath for 15 seconds or whatever it is? So we will do as much as we can. And then when you're in there, wear the mask if you want. The only thing, obviously the actors can't because they're going to be on screen, but cameras more than welcome to do that. If you do feel uncomfortable, don't come to set. Stuff like that. So I want to make sure that everybody feels comfortable as best as we can. But there are some things where it's just, it is what it is. It's part of making a movie, and hopefully we could all be safe. And these are things that are going to be much more difficult on a Hollywood level because you have a 200-person cast and crew as opposed to like a 10-person cast and crew, and we're filming in a warehouse that's 20,000 square feet, so everybody could be 100 feet apart and there wouldn't be an issue. But in Hollywood, if they had 200 people in that room, you'd be like 2 feet apart, so that could be an issue. Anyways, a third, albeit still remote scenario envisions a graver future, namely a move away from the theatrical release calendar entirely. As the spread of the coronavirus throws traditional studios into disarray and backlot executives fret as to whether audiences will return to the multiplex in a post-COVID-19 world at all, the Amazons and Netflixes appear to be in a better position to greenlight major movie productions at a competitive scale and volume. To wit, Martin Scorsese's reported negotiations with Netflix and Apple Plus this week after his longtime studio home Paramount balked at the rising $200 million price tag for the Oscar-winning director's new Leonardo DiCaprio starring project Killers of the Flower Moon. Now, I don't know exactly what this film is. I hadn't heard about it, but I can tell you this. Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, Apple, all these streaming services are making a killing right now because while everybody's at home, they're subscribing to these streaming sites if they haven't already. So they're making more money than they ever had before, whereas Hollywood, Paramount, Warner, whatever, not being able to release their movies through theaters, probably seeing a drastic decline as they put them on video on demand services where not everyone's going to pay the $15 when they're already paying $12 to $20 a month or whatever for a streaming service that has hundreds of thousands of movies. They'll probably only pay for it if they're really a diehard fan or dying to see whatever movie's coming out. So that's a huge issue in and of itself, and I do believe and agree with this completely that the Amazons and Netflixes are in a perfect position and have plenty of money right now to make more major budget productions than Paramount and other Hollywood companies. So I think that's been enough as far as news is concerned for one episode. I don't want to bore you too long with a really long video. Anyways, my name is Brandon Ascari from Ascari Digital's Content Creator Academy, where, as you know, it is my goal to help educate and inspire you to be the best and most successful freelancer you could be. Let me know what you think about this new format we're doing, where one day a week we'll be talking about some news that's in the film industry right now and some of my thoughts and reactions to it. But leave a comment down below with some of that information, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and in the meantime, I will see ya!